So we begin this day with heading down to check the pond levels to see how much the pond has dropped. We're walking over to the deepest part of the pond, which is over 10 feet, but we are checking it to see if the goats can walk through the water. And everything looks to be okay.
I think it'll be okay.
Checked our hot wire to make sure. We have one goat that likes to climb fences. We have one goat that will walk out into the pond. She doesn't mind how deep it is.
You know, it starts
She likes
really
eating on the
getting
pond
deep,
lilies.
So hopefully, but they're not going to be in here overnight. It's just for a couple hours.
Good.
There'll be some slum goats. And now we'll head on up and get the goats. We have the yards sectioned off into pens. The pen we're currently in, we call the pond paddock. It's where we like to introduce the babies to get them used to the yard. I'm going into the barnyard now, and this is where the trailer used to sit that we have tore down, and we are using what we can off of the trailer to build other structures out here. A small peacock house, another turkey quarters.
What you doing, Burly Bird?
We'll just head on over here and set the camera down by the garden. So we have a total of 17 goats, milking goats. We have 4 wethers, and the rest are dames and dolings. And here they all come. There's a persimmon tree that they're all heading to. We actually have 2 persimmon trees in this yard. And here comes Scarlet.
What are you doing?
So you can see our little piles of wood and metal. They've made it to the persimmon trees, and now they see that the gate is open, so they'll want to head on down to the pond paddock. There's a lot of oaks down here that they like munching on the acorns. Of course, the dogs have been reunited. They haven't been with each other in a little over a month.
Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
Now, we had seeded this paddock down here with some winter wheat, and we didn't get the rain we thought we were going to get. We haven't had a decent rain up here in quite a while, but it hasn't really dampened anything because we've been pulling off of the pond to water the livestock and the garden, which I haven't watered the garden in over a month, so we've kind of saved water in that manner, not using it, and just using it for livestock only. Our rain catchment we're still using that for the house use, but the barn tanks have emptied, and so we're just we're pulling off of the pond to make sure that they have water and are taken care of. And it's dropped quite a bit. We've seen it lower, but it has dropped quite a bit. They're projecting 1 to 2 inches in the following week, so that'll help out a little bit. And it may actually could germinate some of this seed that we have if the goats don't eat it all first. So naturally, they all head down to check to see how low the water is, to see if they can make their grand escape. Of course, they won't do it when we're watching. They're going to wait until we turn our backs and get busy.
Let Sammy kill me.
She's been over here.
Do what?
She's been over here, so.
This pond has been our saving grace as far as being able to keep the goats watered and all of the livestock, actually, the turkeys, chickens, everybody. So we pull off about 50 gallons at a time, about every other day, and fill up our tanks. The dogs are a little cautious of the water. They do seem to be like they are part lab. So I don't think it would take too much to get them introduced to the water and get them out there swimming around. But as of now, they're a little cautious. So we haven't put the water pump up yet, the small water feature pump, or rolled the hose up. We have about another week of pulling water off. They are estimating or predicting 1 to 2 inches next week. So we'll believe it when we start seeing it and be able to put the pump up, roll the hose up, and put it up for the season. So we've turned the goats in down here to kind of clean up some of the green leaves that have fallen. We've had about 30-mile-per-hour winds, and the goats can clean up some of the leaves. We try not to give them too much oak because they are loaded with tannins, and it can upset their day by having too much tannins. It can possibly give them belly aches. It can cause depression. So we really watch how much oak we give them. And when we do give them oak leaves, we always make sure that we try to give them some elm too. Elm seems to counter a lot of the issues that they have by eating high tannins. So you can see how far the pond has dropped. It's down quite a bit. The dogs are interested in some bullfrogs that are jumping from the bank. They like hearing them squeak. So now we are all heading up into the lower paddock, and we've been working on a peacock house up here that we'll be finishing this weekend. This is all material that come from the trailers, and so it's taken some time because Not all the boards could be used. Some were split. Some were rotten, so we had to cut and work with what we got. And there were 2 trees here that were struck by lightning, and so they were dead standing. So we've gone through and cut the tops off, and we're just reusing the logs out of them for the post of the peacock house. And this is the first time the goats have been down here, so we've kind of rearranged their yard, and they're inspecting everything. Now in this side yard, we have left all of the oaks, and we've removed the elms. There are some hickories that are left out here, and we want to encourage their growth. By removing some of the elms, we've allowed a lot of sunlight to come in and start their growth. So we head on over here to the south side of the peacock house. Amongst all these trees is going to be their yard. Huddy has just come out of the south entrance of what will be the south entrance. And I am currently standing where we are going to fence in a large quadrant area with fencing so the peacocks can have a yard. We'll go through with some junctions for netting for the ceiling of the yard so that they can't fly out. We have 3 peacocks that we're building this large space for. It won't be specifically only peacocks in this area. We'll be adding turkeys and some chickens to this area too. And we're just growing more and more. And when that happens, we need the space to grow into.
So Charles is snipping the gourds for me.
In this south paddock, we've had watermelons and pumpkins that we tried to get started, but to no avail. The ground is really rocky, and it's hard to maintain a good water source down into this area to help with watering the plants. So we've kept gourds alive through the summer on this fencing, and we had to keep the goats off of it so that they wouldn't eat them. Now we're turning them in to clean it up, and these gourds are going to be used for different things, from art to being used in farmers markets displays. And the seed that we used was well over 3 years old, so we had to even see if the seed was still good. We have plenty of gourd seed. I'm not sure exactly the name of the gourds that we have planted. We believe they cross-pollinated, and we were just grateful to get anything off of them to see how well they would do. So here in this paddock, this was an area that we hand sowed some winter wheat, and it germinated, but it only got maybe about 2 inches tall, and with no rain and no way to water it, it just died out. So we are going to have to reseed this possibly this coming week if the rains are coming in. Our temperatures seem to be right for it, but we'll probably hand cast it again and see how well it goes. this concludes today's adventure of Scarlett and Sammy herding the goats down to the south paddock.
Ah! 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 Rah! Rah!